Joe Root have been told by the ECB to bat at number 3 in their upcoming series in the West Indies. Hello everyone, this is the Cricket Forum, your place for the latest news, views, rumors and gossips in the world of cricket. Coming up also in today's show, Australia all set for the first tour of Pakistan in 24 years. South Africa to drop Wonder Boy. Teams in the Women World Cup may field 9 players. India recorded double victory today and UAE top World Cup qualifying. This is Carlton Brown. This is the Cricket Forum. For the latest news and views and rumors and gossips in the world of cricket, you have tuned in to the right place. Now let me get that. Today's show is brought to you by the Dealmaker Store. If you're looking for a clean, affordable, pre-owned motor vehicle to purchase and you're living in the Caribbean, then click the link in the video description and visit the Dealmaker Store. Now, Joe Root, which E and Ben Stoke could be said is the only surviving members of the hierarchy of the England team that was in Australia that lost the Ashes so badly, have been told by the ECB that he should bat at number 3. Joe Root does not like to bat at number 3. He prefers to bat at number 4. In fact, number 3 is a batting position in which he has the lowest average. The only time he has an average under 40 is when he's batting at number 3. 38.66 is his average batting at number 3. But to hold on to the captaincy, because it appears that the ECB wanted to take the captaincy away from him, they said to him, Joe, if you want to be captain, you have to bat at number 3. And so I think there's some compromise there, and it's left to be seen how Joe Root is going to do in the Caribbean. Now, 8 players from the team that toured Australia that lost so badly in the Ashes have been dropped, including Chris Broad and James Anderson, and both those senior pacers have expressed shock and disbelief, and I'm heard that Anderson is praying that it is not the end of his career. But you know, what goes around comes around. There was a time when Anderson and Broad was at the top of their career, and they behaved in a very dictatorial way. It said that they used to run the dressing room. No one in that dressing room could talk to them. They don't feel at fine leg. And during that time, the now director of England cricket, Andrew Strauss, it is said that it's Broad and Anderson behavior that forced Andrew Strauss, the last England captain, to win a test series in Australia. Because of the behavior of Broad and Anderson, he retired from test cricket sooner than when he wanted to. Now that he's the managing director of the ECB and have a lot of say who plays for England, it is not surprising that Broad and Anderson are not in the team. Very not surprising. So it's left to be seen what will happen, because Andrew Strauss is just acting in an interim position. And maybe when the new managing director of cricket comes in, maybe they will play Broad and Anderson. But for now, Broad and Anderson is out of that team, and Joe Root, to remain captain, he was told that he has to bat at number 3. Now, for the first time in 24 years, Australia will be touring Pakistan for a full series. 3 test matches, 3 ODI matches, and 1 T20 matches. It's the first time, as I said, since 1998 that an Australian cricket team is setting foot on Pakistani side. Now, it appears that Australia will be going into this first test match with the same team that beat England in the last Ashes test in Australia. Now they are taught though that they may go in with two spinners. So instead of only going with Nathan Lyons, the off spinner, they may go in with a leg spinner and use Cameron Green as the third seamer. Now, if they take that decision to go in with Cameron Green as the third seamer, who will bat at number 6, whether he's a third seamer or not, Cameron Green will bat at number 6. Which one of the pace bowler they will drop? At the start of the Ashes, Mitchell Starc, after the first test match, Mitchell Starc was going to get dropped. But Hazelwood picked up an injury, and Pat Cummins had some COVID issues to deal with. He was in contact with a person who tested COVID positive, so he was not allowed to play the second test, and Josh Hazelwood was injured. So Mitchell Starc, who should not have played the second test, was about to get dropped, now became the spearhead of the attack for the second test because the other two senior bowlers were out of the second test. So Mitchell Starc played that test. Now, Josh Hazelwood have not played a test since, and Mitchell Starc went on to play all of the 5 tests. So I am thinking that if they are going to play the 2 spinner and use Cameron Green as the third pacer, who is the 2 pacers that are going to play? Cummins is a captain. So will it be Hazelwood or Mitch Starc? My bet is on Hazelwood. I don't think Mitch Starc have done enough to hold this game if they are playing the 2 spinners ahead of Josh Hazelwood. So I will go with Cummins and Josh Hazelwood if they are going to play the 2 spinner. Otherwise, it will be Starc, Hazelwood, and Cummins, the 3 pacer, and Cameron Green will be the 4th pacer. Usman Khawaja is expected to hold on his game at the top of the order. Now, since 2019, since cricket returned to Pakistan, because there was a time when cricket was not being played in Pakistan, international teams were not visiting Pakistan. But since international teams start going back to Pakistan in 2019, 5 test matches have been played. The pacers have got their wicket at 29 and the spinners have got their wicket at 40. So it's clear. In my opinion, I don't understand this talk of 2 spinners when pacers are getting wicket at 29 and spinners are getting their wicket at 40. So I expected that Andrew McDonald, the new coach, the interim coach of cricket of the Australian cricket team, I expect that he and Pat Cummins will decide to go in with the 3 pacers. So all the talk about the 2 spinners, because of the statistics, I expected that they will go in with the 3 pacers. So Starc will have his game. Now, Cricket South Africa is set to drop their wonder boy Aiden Markman for the start of the second test against New Zealand in a few minutes. In just over 15 minutes, the second test between Australia and New Zealand will commence with South Africa 1-0 down in the 2-test series. And it is said that the wonder boy Aiden Markman, who have averages less than 10 in his last 10 test innings. Wow, what a lot of rhyme there. Averaging less than 10 in his last 10 test innings. I got that right. So Aiden Markman have averaged less than 10 in his last 10 test innings. It is said that Dean Edgar, not Bruce Edgar, Dean Edgar, South Africa cricket captain, have openly stated that they cannot carry a wicket. So Aiden Markman is set to miss out on the second test against New Zealand after a poor run of form. And they really tried with him because Aiden Markman, who did so well in the Under-19 World Cup a few years ago, was seen as the savior of South Africa batting were seen as the starlet. But after a good debut and a good first set of matches against Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, he had fallen off a lot. And his stats have gone way down. And he's now only averaging 36. And South Africa just cannot keep him any longer. Now, as we talk about New Zealand and the second test between South Africa starting in New Zealand in a few minutes' time, also coming up on the 4th of March is the start of the Women World Cup. And as I've said in an earlier video, that the Women World Cup, the winner of the Women World Cup this year will be getting $1,320,000 US dollars. That's double, up from the $660,000 that they got at the last World Cup. So over 3.5 million US dollars will be an offer for prize money at this year's World Cup in New Zealand. Now, because of COVID, and each country are allowed to name a squad of 15 persons, and all of them are in New Zealand already because the quarantine period is 10 days. So all of them are in New Zealand already. All the teams are in New Zealand. Each squad is 15 plus 3 reserve. So you have 15-member squad plus 3 traveling reserve because of COVID. What the organizers are saying is that if somebody in the 15 have COVID, tested positive for COVID, or have to withdraw from the squad for COVID, the reserve may replace that person. A reserve may replace that person. However, if the person recover from COVID and is able to take back their place in the squad, they can also take back their place in the squad at the expense of the reserve. So they're going to be quite flexible about this. And even more flexible is that they're saying that if a team only have 9 players, that means the 9 other players cannot play in the game maybe because of COVID or injuries. Those 9 players, the match will go ahead with those 9 players. The coach or the manager or anybody in the backroom staff can field to make up the 11. Any 2 person can come and field to make up the 11. They will not be allowed to bowl. They will not be allowed to bat, but they can field to ensure that the 11 persons are on the field. If the number goes down below 8, below 9, the game will not play. If it cannot be rescheduled, it will be abandoned, and each team will get 1 point. So I think the ICC is very flexible here. Also, credit to the New Zealand government, because although there were over 6,000 new COVID cases reported in New Zealand on Thursday, they are still going to allow fans to go to the ground and watch the World Cup. There will be what you call pods of 100. So if you're in a pod, you cannot go into the other pod. There will be partition, so you have to stay in your pod, and not more than 100 persons will be allowed in those pods. So credit to the New Zealand government, credit to the ICC for being so flexible for this tournament. Yes, today, India scored a double. Yeah, there were double victories for India today. First, the women beat New Zealand by 6 wickets in the ODI, in the 5th ODI, to prevent a whitewash, because New Zealand already won the four previous ODI. It was a 5 ODI series in preparation for the World Cup, which, as I said, start March 4th. And so India have won the 5th one to save the whitewash. They won it quite comfortable by 6 wickets. And the fact that Srimati Mandana is back into the Indian team, because she did not play in the first 3 ODI. She was back for the 4th, and now she's back in the 5th, because today she made a brilliant 77 was it? 71. I think 71 was it, from 84 deliveries. 71 from 84 deliveries. And see, look, all the ICC Cricket of the Year, sheer class. She batted brilliantly. Her driving through the offside and through the onside, her cut, her pull. She was brilliant today, and she showed what India missed in those 3 previous ODI. And although India lost this 5-match series 1-4, I still have them as one of the favorite to win this World Cup. Australia should be the favorite, should be the #1 favorite, but don't rule out India because they have some good batters, they have a good pace bowler, and they have some very, very good spinners. And I expect them to put up a good fight. It won't be surprised to me if they go on to win the World Cup and break up that England-Australia dynasty. So the women beat Australia by 6 wickets, and the men beat Sri Lanka by 62 runs in the first T20 match held at Lucknow today. So India first batted and made 199, and Sri Lanka in reply made 137. Well, Ishan Krishan made a fine 89. Yes, he made a fine 89 when he got a slow ball and pull it down mid-wicket short on the boundary. 89 from 56 delivery. It was a short ball, but it was a slower delivery. He played too early. It got the top portion of the bat and flew to deep mid-wicket, and he was out for 89 or 56 deliveries. In reply, Sri Lanka folded and on the Chariot Azalanka, he made 53 knockout from 47 deliveries. But it was a double victory for India. The women beating New Zealand by 6 wickets and the men beating Sri Lanka by 62 runs. There was some history for UAE cricket today as they beat Ireland. Yes, UAE beat Ireland to top the World Cup qualifiers. They beat Ireland in the finals to be the top team in the World Cup qualifiers for the 2022 T20 World Cup in Australia in October. So both of them qualifies, but in a playoff between both teams, UAE won, and they going into the World Cup as the top qualifiers. And it may be that it could be that they are in a little easier group, being the top team coming out of the qualifiers. But there was also another record for UAE today as Muhammad Wazin became the first UAE cricketer to score a century in T20 internationals when he made 112 from 66 deliveries against Ireland. So Muhammad Wazin, the first UAE cricketer to make a century in T20 cricket when he scored 122 of 66 deliveries against Ireland in the finals of the World Cup qualifier to take UAE to a comfortable 7-wicket victory over Ireland. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and please remember, slash a like on the video, share and subscribe, and thank the Dealmaker Store for sponsoring today's show. If you need a reliable, clean, affordable vehicle to buy in the Caribbean, then click the link in the video description and support the Dealmaker Store. Please slash a like on the video, share and subscribe. Until tomorrow, Carlton Brown saying Godspeed and take care of yourself.